Treasure Planet. This is a movie that, as a kid, it was cool. I never could sit through the whole thing. I always thought, man, this movie's cool. It's just, I don't know, I can't sit through it. And it's not very popular, not many people talked about it, so I haven't seen it in a really long time. I thought, oh, well, since I watched Muppet Treasure Island, kind of should watch this movie again. It's based on Treasure Island, the book, just like Muppet Treasure Island. And I am also going to watch the Disney one at some point, and then I'll watch 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Because I kind of want... I've never seen the Disney Treasure Island, like the one, I think from the 50s. Never seen it. I want to check that out. I want to check out 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, too. And that's a really great thing about Disney Plus. A lot of these movies were never released on Blu-ray, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And it's really nice to have a platform where you can watch these things in HD Blu-ray quality, and they look good. And also check out the Love Bug stuff. So it's a really nice, and it's also a lot of classic movies that maybe a lot of younger people haven't seen, including myself. I've seen 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but I haven't seen like Treasure Island. Love Bug movies, I've seen a few of those. I remember my brother, I think it was, he used to love them or something. I think it was my brother. I can't even remember anymore. But yeah, I distinctly remember him liking them a lot. So I don't know. But yeah, I always remember this movie as a kid, but I never really watched it a ton from what I remember. What I do remember is I always remember the song I'm Still Here from the movie, which is actually a really excellent song. And for some reason, I always remember the song not fitting well with the movie, but if you really listen to the lyrics and get the point of the song, it fits incredibly well with this movie. This movie is incredibly well done. This movie is directed by Ron Musker and John Clements. Excuse me if I pronounced their names wrong. They were a directing duo for Disney animated movies. I believe Little Mermaid, Aladdin, stuff like that. I believe also Hercules, if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember if it was them exactly. But they worked on a lot of Disney animated movies. And for many years they wanted to get this dream project off, where it's Treasure Island in space. Sounds crazy, but they got it off the ground finally. And there was all kinds of production issues, and apparently this movie really bombed hard. The reason why is this came out at Christmas time. So this blockbuster summer movie came out at Christmas time, next to the first Harry Potter movie, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, depending where you live in the world. But yeah, it is really weird to put this movie out that time, and it was just a bad time to put out this movie. This movie is really good though. This is the best Treasure Island movie I've ever seen, because it does follow the story, but you feel the connection between the character of Jim and the one-legged man, who instead of just being a one-legged man is now a cyborg because they're in space. And it is really beautiful, and that's why that song works so well. It depicts this character who is grown up without a father, and sees this character who is a father figure in his life, and can see through the lies and betrayal, but just doesn't want to, because he is become a father figure to him, and so and that's what makes this connection really good. And he's a really likable trickster, as that character should be. You enjoy their chemistry together, and you understand that deep down at heart, that character is still a villain, but he's not a bad guy. Best I could explain it is, it's like Wreck-It Ralph. You are a bad guy, but that does not mean you are a bad guy. But yeah, it's really good. And the direction here is excellent. Like, this is a really well directed movie. It's really beautifully animated too. There's a lot of blending of CG and 2D, which I imagine at the time was really impressive. I will say though, nowadays it does not look that great. It actually looks pretty fake at times. It's still impressive, just not as impressive. And that's the tricky with CG animation. Over time it gets worse and worse, and that's why I always prefer just traditional animation. And I wish that we would have had more of this. These character designs are so expressive. Most of the time they're not even saying anything. As regards to criticisms, there's a character voiced by Martin Short, I believe. I believe it's Martin Short. Don't correct me on that if I'm wrong, but this character comes in the movie, yells and screams a lot, and is very irritating. He does have a plot function but he could have been removed from the story for the most part, and nothing would have changed. And he also creates a lot of forced conflict, but he's not in the movie enough. There's a whole almost hour before that character comes in, and it's only like the last 40 minutes of the movie where he comes in. But even then, out of those last 40 minutes, he's in, like, I would say a full 10 minutes of like him saying lines. So not really that bad. Still, every time I see him, I'm like, shut up. I don't want to hear you. But he's not the worst character, though. And at the end of the day, this is a really good movie. It's, I think, one of the best of Disney's catalog. And, why I think this is so good is because the 90s ones are great. They all feel very similar, though. The ones before this era were mostly movies that didn't have stories, and they're not really good movies. They're amazing for the time and what they did for animation at this time, but if we're talking like what the aspects of what makes a good movie, which is story, characters, scores, and since they're musicals, their music, their animation too, they have great animation, great music, but what else do they have? A lot of these things are so memorable not because they are great movies, but because they're great for the time, and we all grew up on them and watched them, and looking back on they're not as good as I remember, and and I feel like a lot of people overpraise Disney movies as if they're amazing, and a lot of them are amazing, but a lot of them aren't, and so but I think if we're really gonna look at it, this was one of the best out of all their catalog, and it's one of the most unrecognized, and it definitely deserves to be more appreciated within their catalog of animated films. And I hope they never touch into a remake. I know some people have said, well, I want to see Atlantis and Treasure Planet. The movie bombed. It's never really going to happen, and if it does, it wouldn't bring more attention to this movie. It just mean a ton of people won't see a remake because they don't have nostalgia for this movie. So, and I don't even remember Atlantis even being that great. I remember this being the better one, so I don't know. I'll have to watch Atlantis again, I guess, too. And I'll have to watch the sequel.